Cord from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, plus special features and reports with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
It was a dark and stormy night. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Webster. Rough weather here and elsewhere. At last check, close to 60,000 customers without power in western Pennsylvania and PA's northern tier. Scattered outages across New York as well. Here's Family Life's Sarah Harnish.
Yeah, Mark, it was from that storm that blew through last night ahead of a cold front Tuesday that will bring bitter temperatures into the new year. This reporter in western Pennsylvania chronicling the scene at about 8 p.m.
A tree that is down, it's bringing down some wires and it's on top of a car. We've been going around different areas, and this is a lot of the sort of thing that we've been seeing. There's downed lines, a lot of small tree debris that is on the ground, temporary road signage that's knocked over.
At one point, a rare December tornado warning was issued in a remote wooded corner of Forest County. The National Weather Service says the highest wind gusts were clocked at 60 miles an hour at the Allegheny County Airport in West Mifflin. A wind advisory expired overnight. Today, it's all about storm damage assessment with teams on the ground in several cities in Pennsylvania to survey the damage. Sarah Harnish, Family Life News.
Thank you much, Sarah. And Kevin Williams' updated forecast is just ahead. It was a much worse weekend in the South. At least 4 people dead after more than 30 tornadoes hit a wide area across Arkansas, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, and Texas. This woman lost her home in Alvin, Texas.
Hit 3 hurricanes, and then a tornado came and took everything. And I'm just really thankful.
This man's home suffered a similar fate.
Our house is now behind the neighbor's house, completely shredded to nothing.
The worst often brings out the best, though. Limestone, Alabama official Colin Daly remarking that people are helping their neighbors in the wake of tornado damage there.
It's a blessing just to see the people coming together and helping out where they can help.
The severe weather also contributed to thousands of delayed flights for holiday travelers. Our other top story, reaction continuing to pour in from around the world to the passing of former President Jimmy Carter, who died yesterday at age 100 in his hometown of Plains, Georgia. From the Camp David Accords to his humanitarian work to his books, America's 39th president leaves a wide-ranging legacy.
Let history record that deep and ancient antagonism can be settled without bloodshed.
However, the next year, in 1979, more than 40 Americans were taken hostage in Iran, a situation that eventually dashed Carter's chances for a second term. But former White House correspondent Peter Mayer says Carter did plenty of other noteworthy things while in office.
There were environmental advances during his term that saw the start of the Departments of Energy and Education, and for better or worse, government deregulation.
The Carter legacy stretched well beyond his one-term presidency. He made Habitat for Humanity nationally known by volunteering with them and stayed connected to international diplomacy through his Carter Center. He won the 2002 Nobel Peace Prize and wrote books on his Christian faith and other topics.
A lot of exciting things to be done now in this wonderful phase of my life.
Among many weighing in on Carter's legacy, President Biden.
Some look at Jimmy Carter and see a man of a bygone era with honesty and character, faith and humility. It mattered. But I don't believe it's a bygone era.
And these citizens fondly remember him.
A really sad thing. It's a loss. It is a loss. I think he was someone who tried to do good things for this country.
A state funeral will be held next week. U.S. flags will fly half-staff for 30 days. January 9th has been declared a national day of mourning in Carter's honor. Next to South Korea. Monks paying tribute to the 179 people who died when a Jeju Air flight from Bangkok crash-landed on a South Korean runway, bursting into flames, killing all but 2 aboard. It's still unclear what caused that crash. Could take weeks to get access to the plane's black boxes.
When you do Mayday, that means catastrophe-aware landing. There is no other choices. They should have had other choices, but they didn't take them, and that's the big question mark here. Why didn't the pilots land in water like the Miracle on the Hudson plane?
Fox correspondent Cheryl Pisoni. Congress starts work later this week, both chambers in session for the first time in the new year. The swearing in of the 119th Congress set for January 3rd. First order of business, picking a new speaker. Congresswoman Victoria Spartz undecided on the current speaker, Mike Johnson.
I can give him a chance, but I would like to hear from him how he's going to be delivering this agenda and what plan he has, and he hasn't been doing it.
Says New York lawmaker Mike Lawler.
Despite the best efforts of some of these same people that are now calling for Johnson's removal, we held on to the House. If somebody thinks that they're going to be able to get 218 votes for somebody, let's say, out of the Freedom Caucus, they're kidding themselves.
Health news next. There's a bug going around you'll want to watch out for.
A surge in a highly contagious stomach virus that is spreading across the U.S. It's called neurovirus, and the CDC reports 91 outbreaks in just the first week of December. It's nearly 50% higher than normal for this time of year. Symptoms include vomiting, diarrhea, stomach pain. Doctors say the best defense, washing your hands with soap and warm water.
Correspondent Hannah Rucker and actress Linda Lavin has died.
There's a new girl in town. She became a role model for working moms, starring as a waitress in the 1970s TV show Alice.
How do I stop him from chasing me just for my body?
Let him catch you. Her representative says Lavin died of lung cancer. She was 87.
CBS's Deborah Rodriguez. Still to come on the Noon Report. Western New York churches closing. Consternation over a presidential commutation and keeping holiday roads safe.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams. The winds of change have been blowing in this week ahead. As we head into the new year, promises a return to winter. Forecast details are up in 10.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Yeah, those winds blew strong overnight. Now checking the stories making news where you live in New York and Pennsylvania. 2024 was a rough year for Western New York Catholics. The diocese closing dozens of churches.
It was definitely one of the largest stories of the year within the Catholic community. And I think from our perspective, it came as a shock. I don't think you will meet a Catholic or anyone within any religious denomination that would say that numbers within the faithful community aren't dwindling across the board.
Nandor Forgash is a parishioner at St. Benedict's. 80 churches were closed and merged in a single year, most because of financial difficulties caused in large part by the cost of litigation from 900 sexual abuse claims. There's also an ongoing priest shortage. The end of the year is expected to bring the beginning of the end for some historic Southern Tier buildings. Endicott, New York, the birthplace of IBM, and the complex of white buildings that were once the lifeblood of the community are coming down. Mayor Nick Burlingame tells WIBT it gives them some mixed feelings.
It's hard to see the history leave. These buildings meant a lot to our community, but it's time. It's time for a new chapter, and they were becoming a safety concern. We're looking forward to a shovel-ready site.
The structures being demolished are part of what's known as the Old Building Group, with a combined space of more than 500,000 square feet. That teardown is going to take 4 to 6 months to complete. Without warning, there was a partial building collapse today in downtown Scranton, Pennsylvania, shutting down a main artery of the city. It looked like a bomb went off after the whole front face of a historic Coney Island lunch building fell to the ground around 7 a.m., stripping the structure down to its beams and shutting down parts of Lackawanna Avenue. Officials say no one was injured. President Joe Biden's move to pardon or commute the sentences of over 1,500 felons isn't winning him any popularity points in his hometown. Dozens of people rallied in Scranton this weekend, demanding the street and expressway named for Biden be renamed. The anti-Biden sentiment centers on Biden's decision to commute the remaining sentence of former Judge Michael Conahan in the infamous Kids for Cash case. He and another judge sentenced kids for minor offenses in exchange for millions in kickbacks, a scandal believed to have impacted the lives of more than 2,500 children, including the late son of rally speaker Sandy Fonsno. Eddie Fonsno took his own life.
This is not about politics. This is about what is right and what is wrong. My son, who should still be here today, was failed by a system that was supposed to protect him. And instead of holding this judge accountable, the clemency erases the harm he caused, dismissing the pain of thousands of families in this community.
However, some Scranton Democrats tell WNEP the anti-Biden movement is off base.
I think each president should not be defined by one decision that they make. They should be defined by their entire career.
I think those are two separate issues, and those calls on the street and the expressway are not new. I believe some of this is being used for political purposes, and that's unfortunate.
Organizers say they plan to continue to pressure the city and state to erase Biden's name from Scranton's roadways. The new year brings with it new laws and other changes for the Commonwealth. A look-see now from Family Life's Brian Query.
Among the new laws includes one that would require insurance providers regulated by the state, including Medicaid, to cover biomarker testing for cancer. A separate law will eliminate the cost of many types of breast cancer screenings and counseling for those with individual insurance and small group plans. Another change incoming for 2025 is a raise for lawmakers and state officials like Governor Josh Shapiro and state Supreme Court judges. The raise will approximately be 3.4%. Brian Query, Family Life News.
Thank you, Brian. As for new laws on the books in New York State come 2025, telemarketers will be required to provide the purpose of their call plus the name and address of their company within the first 30 seconds of a call. Cell phone companies must also limit or disable service to a device that is reported stolen to reduce the number of phones sold on the black market. Finally, on January 1st, New York will be the first state in the country to require paid prenatal leave. Well, we're less than 24 hours out now from New Year's Eve, and police in both New York and PA will be out in full force looking for those who might be driving drunk.
DWI is always a concern and something we take very, very seriously. The message is just don't let one bad decision ruin the lives of somebody else.
Sergeant Tom Blake with the Syracuse Police Department says you don't need to have a blood alcohol level of 0.08 to get arrested.
The truth of the matter is the eyes don't lie. You can look at somebody's eyes and perform tests on those individuals to see what the level of impairment is. And generally speaking, they're pretty accurate.
In New York, you can get a DWAI if you are under the 0.08 limit but are driving recklessly and have some impairment on an eye test. And there's also a unique move afoot to try to keep some Buffalo sidewalks safe when the snow flies. The city's Allentown neighborhood is enlisting volunteers to help shovel. The Allentown Association pilot program seeks to keep sidewalks from getting clogged up and unsafe by asking residents to pick up a shovel and help clear the way. Business owner Mickey Harmon says, good idea.
Well, it's a safety issue, first of all, and we really need to put the feet to the fire of some of these out-of-town landlords who don't take care of their properties, as well as some businesses and the city itself. This is Buffalo, right? So we know winters, we're a tough breed of people here. So there's no reason why the able-bodied can't get out there and shovel a few extra sidewalks.
If you want to pitch in with a shovel, there's more info at allentown.org. All right, let's call a news timeout now and shift gears to sports. Well, they couldn't catch KC, but now no one can catch Buffalo for the AFC's number 2 seed. The Bills taking care of business with a 40-14 blowout over the visiting Jets to lock up home field through the divisional round. Head coach Sean McDermott.
We'll see where it takes us. We've got some guys who are hurting a little bit right now and might need some rest, but we'll see. We've got some guys also that we may want to take a look at.
Jets interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich could only tip his cap to the Bills.
Give a lot of credit to Buffalo. They got after us in every way. Outcoached us, outplayed us from really the second half on. So not good enough.
Eagles were good enough. Even missing their starting quarterback, they didn't miss a beat, throttling the hapless Cowboys 41-7 at Lincoln Financial, sewing up their second straight NFC East crown. The icing on the cake, Saquon Barkley, becoming only the 9th NFL player to ever top 2,000 rushing yards in a season. Barkley's happy to be soaring as an Eagle.
We felt that this would be the best place for me, and one thing that we wanted to do was also be part of a great team, but I felt like there was still out there that I could do for my legacy and for my name, and accomplishing a milestone like that definitely adds to that.
And the Giants did something they haven't done all season, win a home game. The G-Men outlasted the Colts 45-33, snuffing out Indy's faint playoff hopes in the process. QB Drew Lock was locked in, passing for over 300 yards, 4 TDs, added a 5th on the ground.
We knew we had it in us. It was just time to go out and show it and do it and make the plays when they were there. Sure enough, we went out and did that today, so it was a fun time, really good time.
Giants notched their 3rd win of the year, though some fans might not be thrilled with that W, since for the moment it cost them the 1st overall draft pick spot, falling to 4th now behind the Patriots, Titans, and Browns. On the ice, the Buffalo Sabres resharpened their once dull blades, putting a 13-game losing streak in the rearview mirror with a 3-game winning streak, the latest a 4-2 road win in St. Louis. Center Tage Thompson scored one of the goals.
We were good at their blue line, putting pucks behind them. Just playing simple, detailed hockey. Kind of a boring game to play, but you got to do that when you're not feeling your best. I thought, that was just a mature game all around from us.
Next test will be a tough one, a New Year's Eve road game in Dallas. Also last night, Penguins nipped the Islanders 3-2. Flyers fell to the Kings 5-4. And that is a look at sports. Still to come on the Noon Report, the life and legacy of President Jimmy Carter, and then an audio journey through the top stories of 2024 you won't want to miss.
Welcome to a special edition of Breakpoint, where we're looking at some of the most important worldview stories of 2024. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. Well, among the top worldview stories of 2024 was a series of unexpected admissions from prominent atheists about the cultural good of Christianity, even as hostility toward Christianity and Christian morality has increased in recent years, both in the West and outside of the West. A growing number of atheists, former atheists, and secularists have verbalized the role that Christianity has played in shaping the Western world and why it is a necessary factor in preserving civilization. Most notable, Richard Dawkins, author of The God Delusion, one of the so-called Four Horsemen of New Atheism, and of course, a longtime critic of Christianity. Dawkins made this fascinating confession after seeing lights celebrating Ramadan on a street that once celebrated Easter. Quote, "I call myself a cultural Christian. I'm not a believer, but there's a distinction between being a believing Christian and being a cultural Christian. I love hymns and Christmas carols, and I sort of feel at home in the Christian ethos. We in the UK are a Christian country in that sense. And if I had to choose between Christianity and Islam, I choose Christianity every single time. It seems to me to be a fundamentally decent religion in a way that I think Islam is not." End quote. Now, it was in 2023 that the world first learned that Ayaan Hirsi Ali was considering Christianity. But in 2024, it's become clear that what's happening with this former atheist is more than just the cultural Christianity that Dawkins talked about. Asked by Richard Dawkins on a panel how she could accept the, and I quote here, "nonsense idea that Jesus is the Son of God and rose from the dead," she replied this way, quote, "When you accept that there's something, that there's a powerful entity, for me, the God that turned me around, then what the vicar says no longer sounds nonsensical. It makes a great deal of sense. And not only does it make a great deal of sense, it's also layered with the wisdom of millennia. Like you, I did mock faith in general, probably Christianity in particular, but I do not do that anymore." End quote. It's been incredible watching secular prophets recognize the debt owed to this religion of Jesus. However, the West benefited because of people who really believed in Jesus. Cultural Christianity came from real Christianity, which came from real Christians. Their faith was good for the West and the world because Christianity is true. Cultural flourishing and renewal cannot come by merely adopting the best ideas of Christianity, but by advancing Christ. This is what Chuck Colson meant by the church being the church. And the Colson Center exists to help strengthen the church in a cultural moment like this one by providing access to Christian worldview resources and discipleship programs. Every gift to the Colson Center allows us to do this work that God's put before us. We are so close to reaching our year-end goal, and the challenge grant that was provided by generous donors has not only been met, it's been extended by another $100,000 by more generous donors. Praise God. Please help us today by giving at colsoncenter.org/December. That's colsoncenter.org/December. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet.
All right, a windy one today. Let's check in with meteorologist Kevin Williams.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast for this afternoon. Into tonight, cloudy, windy, some showers, snowflakes mixed in across the high elevations of western New York, western Pennsylvania. Temperatures slowly falling this afternoon, reaching a low tonight in the low 30s. Tomorrow, clouds, limited sunshine, highs in the 40s. Rain returns by tomorrow night. Rain and snow then on Wednesday, changing to more of a lake effect snow pattern off Lake Erie with temperatures in the 30s and 40s and falling through the course of the day.
This is the Noon Report on Family Life. I'm Mark Webster. Thank you again for joining us. Recapping the top story this day, the passing of America's 39th president. CBS's Steve Cathon now with the life and legacy of President Jimmy Carter.
My name is Jimmy Carter, and I'm running for president. The Georgia peanut farmer turned politician seemed an unlikely candidate for president in 1976, but many Americans still hurting from Vietnam and Watergate found his messages, honesty, and modesty attractive.
I would not tell a lie. I would not mislead the American people.
Jimmy Carter's achievements as the 39th president included creating the Departments of Energy and Education, returning the Panama Canal to the Panamanians, and brokering the historic peace treaty between Israel and Egypt, known as the Camp David Accords.
Let history record that deep and ancient antagonism can be settled without bloodshed.
But his administration was also marked by turbulence. He feuded with Congress. Oil prices and inflation soared. In the summer of 1979, Mr. Carter gave what became known as his malaise speech.
It is a crisis of confidence.
Then came what may have been the defining moment of his presidency.
On November the 4th, 1979, Iranian militants stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, taking 52 American hostages.
A military attempt to free them ended in disaster. The crisis dominated President Carter's re-election campaign.
Do you have any idea when the hostages in Iran will be released?
The release came in January 1981 on Ronald Reagan's Inauguration Day. In the years after leaving the White House, Mr. Carter established a Center for Peace in Atlanta, built houses for Habitat for Humanity, wrote many books, and was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize.
I'm not here as a public official, but as a citizen of a troubled world.
Indeed, Jimmy Carter would say he had a better reputation for his post-presidency than for his 4 years in the White House.
When people look back on what we did in the White House, I think there's a lot there of justifiable pride.
President Biden has declared January 9th as a national day of mourning in remembrance of President Jimmy Carter, dead at age 100. Tomorrow, the final day of 2024, the Family Life Noon Report will rewind back through 12 unprecedented months of news, events, and personalities. It's our annual Year in Review special, hosted by Bob Price. To whet your appetite, here's a little preview of that special presentation, The Sounds and Stories of 2024.
First major test in the race for the White House.
The people of Iowa, thank you. We love you all.
Whether Americans are ready or not for this, it's here.
The results are in, and Donald Trump victorious in tonight's New Hampshire primary.
Eagle Pass, Texas was seeing thousands of migrants a day.
It's no longer the U.S.-Mexico border, it's the U.S. world border.
Recent MAX 9 door plug blowout never should have happened.
Every plane that goes into the skies needs to be safe.
Boeing, they have lost their way.
There is a back-to-back Super Bowl champion, and it is the Kansas City Chiefs.
And the mythical mastery of Caitlin Clark continues.
To be honest, I don't get nervous for games because, I just know, this is fun for me.
This for college basketball history.
The all-time leading scorer in NCAA history.
Caitlin Clark.
The man who stood up to Vladimir Putin, the symbol of Russian oppression.
47-year-old Alexei Navalny dropped dead at a penal colony in Siberia.
New outrage this morning over the violence in Haiti.
Another day of fighting between Haitian gangs and police on the streets of Port-au-Prince.
The time has now come to suspend my campaign.
There is no bridge. There is no bridge.
A stunning bridge collapse at the Port of Baltimore.
The whole center span is gone completely.
The Francis Scott Key Bridge plunging into the water.
Here we go! Yes! Totality! That is so awesome!
Tens of millions of Americans coming together, looking up, witnessing that breathtaking spectacle in the sky. A rare total solar eclipse.
The Israel-Hamas war stoking protests across the U.S. and college campuses.
It's scary. I've honestly been avoiding campus.
Hey, hey, ho, ho! The occupation's got to go!
These little Gazas are disgusting cesspools of anti-Semitic hate.
Anti-Semitism has no place on our campus.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
What happens to Israel?
Turning now to the Trump trials.
Donald Trump is facing legal hurdles on several fronts.
Another tough day in the legal arena for former President Trump.
The verdict is in.
Donald John Trump is a convicted felon.
An historic moment as he becomes the first former president convicted of a felony.
No matter how powerful you are, no one is above the law.
That's how the American system of justice works.
It's a very sad day for America, that's all I'm going to say.
This is a conviction without a crime against Joe Biden's chief political rival in the middle of a presidential campaign.
Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here. Let's begin the debate.
And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
If the Lord Almighty came out and said, Joe, get out of the race, I get out of the race, the Lord Almighty's not coming down.
It's over. Time to say it again, Boston. Banner number 18 has been secured. The Celtics are NBA champions. 3 seconds to go. The Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup.
The Supreme Court has issued a ruling on the extent of presidential immunity.
This is a 6-3 ruling that says presidents are immune.
Take a look at what happened.
There has been an incident at Donald Trump's Pennsylvania rally.
When I heard this going on, I thought it was a firecracker.
There's blood coming from his ear.
I had God on my side. If I had not moved my head at that very last instant, I would not be here.
Secret Service leadership committed catastrophic security failure.
Was this a colossal failure? Yes or no? Yes.
This is an NBC News special report.
Breaking news and a critical moment in the presidential race.
It's been the honor of my life to serve as your president.
President Joe Biden officially dropping out of the 2024 race.
I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation.
And it is my great honor to have Joe Biden's endorsement in this race.
I proudly accept your nomination for President of the United States.
I accept your nomination to be President of the United States.
It has been a century since the City of Light last hosted the Games.
You have come to Paris as athletes. Now you're Olympians.
Legendary actor Carl Weathers has died.
What's the matter with you? There is no tomorrow.
The country music community has lost one of their biggest stars, Toby Keith.
I should have been a cowboy.
Former U.S. Senator and Vice Presidential nominee Joe Lieberman is dead.
We learned today that actor Louis Gossett Jr. has died.
Every time I say understand, I want the whole group to say, yes, sir.
O.J. Simpson has died at the age of 76.
O.J., you're kind of a quiet guy. You don't cause any trouble. Well, I just do my thing,
We learned today basketball legend Bill Walton has died.
Jerry West, icon with the Los Angeles Lakers, has passed away. Donald Sutherland, who starred in classics like The Dirty Dozen and Ordinary People, has died.
Actress Shelley Duvall has passed away.
3 beloved icons, all gone in one weekend. Shannon Doherty, Dr. Ruth, and Richard Simmons.
It's the end of an era in comedy. Accountant turned entertainment icon Bob Newhart has passed away.
Legendary actor James Earl Jones has died.
I am the father.
Dame Maggie Smith has passed away at age 89.
This one hurts the heart. Music titan Quincy Jones has died.
We are remembering Pete Rose, baseball's all-time hits leader.
Dodger legend Fernando Valenzuela has died.
Valenzuela has pitched a no-hitter. If you have a sombrero, throw it to the sky. Start the party, Los Angeles! Your Dodgers have won the World Series!
There is a fascinating story developing right now in the Middle East.
Thousands of pagers belonging to Hezbollah exploded simultaneously.
Tonight, the high-stakes showdown here in Philadelphia between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. Their first face-to-face meeting in this presidential election.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
We are coming on the air with breaking news about former President Donald Trump. A possible second attempted assassination. The Secret Service fired in the direction of a person with a gun just outside Mr. Trump's golf course in South Florida.
Now, the latest on the aftermath of Hurricane Helene.
These are desperate hours in the storm zone.
The devastation that I've witnessed is hard to describe.
Nobody's going to help us.
Homes and businesses flooded.
It's hard to put into words.
It's undescribable.
Roads and bridges completely washed away.
Just really horrifying.
This is an unprecedented storm. This is one of the worst storms in modern history.
It is Election Day. November 5th is finally here.
The Fox News Decision Desk can now officially project
Donald Trump has won the presidency.
Hey, look what happened. Is this crazy?
We must accept the results of this election.
President Biden will pardon his son Hunter.
If it was my son, I'd pardon him too. But here's what I didn't like. Don't lie to us. Don't tell us you're not going to do it and then do it.
out of Syria and the fall of Bashar al-Assad.
The Assad family controlled Syria with an iron fist for 53 years.
Luigi Mangione is fighting extradition. 26-year-old Luigi Mangione remains behind bars.
He was just threatening to kill people.
Daniel Penny found not guilty.
The person of the year who's had the most influence on the news in 2024 is Donald Trump.
What a great honor this is. America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, richer, safer, and stronger than it has ever been before. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
The sounds and stories of 2024 compiled by our Bob Price. Our noon report tomorrow will have more memories of the year, plus our annual roundtable, reviewing the year's top stories in Pennsylvania and New York, in the nation, and the world. We'll bring you our Year in Review special tomorrow at noon. It will also be available as a podcast on FamilyLife.org starting New Year's Eve. Just ahead, one family's special Christmas Eve miracle.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. We've got some changes ahead in our weather. The recent weather maker that's brought us rain and wind is now pushing east, and chillier air is working in. The air is just modestly chilly, and the next weather maker is still primarily rain as it arrives late tomorrow night. But after that, cold air starts gushing into the region. Rain flips to snow, and then lake effect snow kicks into the belts. Our call for this afternoon, into tonight, cloudy, windy, and there'll be some showers, snowflakes mixed in across the high elevations of western New York, western Pennsylvania. Temperatures slowly falling this afternoon, reaching a low tonight in the low 30s. Tomorrow, clouds, limited sunshine, highs in the 40s. Rain returns by tomorrow night. Rain and snow then on Wednesday, changing to more of a lake effect snow pattern off Lake Erie, with temperatures in the 30s and 40s and falling through the course of the day.
Thank you, Kevin. Finally at noon, Christmas Eve was a bit somber at the Florida home of the Comer family. Their beloved dog Athena had gone missing over a week earlier, prompting a frantic and fruitless search. Then, late Christmas Eve, guess who rang their ring?
Hi, you are currently being recorded.
It was about 2:30 a.m. and she came calling at the door, ringing the doorbell. I was excited but trying not to wake up the kids, but the kids woke up anyways from the excitement. She has not stopped whining or howling since she's got home.
Reported sightings indicate Athena roamed at least 20 miles from home while AWOL, but now she and her family are just thankful for their own Christmas Eve miracle. And that's the world we live in for Monday, December 30th, 2024. As always, thank you for listening. I'm Mark Webster, Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.